What's up, gamers? We got an incredibly fun announcement from Analogue yesterday about a new modern N64 console that they are creating. And I posted this on X yesterday, but I want to go ahead and publicly say it out loud right now that the N64 was not my first console, but it is probably the first console that I fell in love with. It really took my love of gaming to the next level. And I still remember the moment when I discovered Super Mario 64. It was a magical moment that I don't think I will ever forget. So as a huge fan of the platform and someone who still has many of their game cartridges sitting in a box in the basement, I had to talk about this today. So let's jump right into it. The future is here. I don't normally talk about Analogue products because they kind of frustrate me. They never seem to produce enough units. They're always sold out, and it always seems a little overpriced to me. But this is an exception to that rule, hopefully. I don't know about how many units they're going to make, but I actually think that this is priced reasonably well for what you get here in this package. But so you kind of have this shot of it in the shadows, but there's this light coming out of it or whatever. It says a reimagining of the N64 in 4K resolution, 10 times the resolution of the original one. It supports every original N64 game ever made in any region. It's region free. It has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. You can plug 4 controllers into here, and you can see that right there. It has 4 controller ports right there in the front. It just looks stunning. I mean, it even like has the buttons here on the side, just like it used to. And the cartridge goes right in the top just like it used to. It's not exactly the same shape, but it's pretty close. And that's really exciting to me that they are sticking to, you know, just that original form factor as much as they can, because I've always thought this was the best looking console, the most futuristic looking console that's ever been created. I love just like the spaceship design of it with the smooth contours and all this stuff. It's such a great looking console, and this is no different. There it is without the cartridges. There it is in white. I think it's, I don't know, like a light gray actually, which I think looks absolutely stunning. I'm not even sure if I pick up one of these, I might go with the light gray just because I think it looks so clean. Just an absolutely stunning design. But I guess one of the things that's so neat about this is that it is 100% compatible with every cartridge ever. And so it's not really relying on traditional emulation. Instead, it's pulling the game data straight from the cartridge and recreating it just like the N64 would. It uses FPGA to do that. So for the first time ever, you can re-experience the N64 exactly as it was meant to be without compromise. That's sort of true. I mean, I had an N64, so I think I did experience it originally like it was meant to be. So hopefully this takes care of some of like the frame rate issues that the original hardware used to have, just because it just didn't have the horsepower to push some of the games. It also talks about this. I'm not really entirely sure what this means, but it says it brings true CRT reference quality to your HD TV in 4K. Experience the N64 with unmatched authenticity and zero lag. It's the N64 Reborn. Now, it shows here a TV, and I'm not really sure, like this looks like an old TV, an old CRT that they have something playing on here. And this is where I kind of am like, this is weird. Like, it gets a little weird because they keep saying these things, but they're not showing us any real screenshots of what they mean, or any real like video footage of what they mean to say, here's what the original hardware looked like and here's what this will look like. And I wish they had that on here, and hopefully before this pre-orders go up on the 21st they will, but so far it doesn't look like it, and that's a little disappointing. And here they talk about multiplayer and how 70% of the library supported multiplayer, and I think that's true, because I mean almost every game I had some kind of multiplayer. Super Mario 64 didn't, but that was kind of an exception. Most games that I owned had some kind of split screen multiplayer. It was just a completely different era from today, where you really were encouraged to invite your friends over or your siblings over to the couch and ask them to play with you. And it was a lot of fun to be able to sit there and just fight it out on the screen together. And here we get a shot of the controller. It's by 8-Bit Dough, and it's it's a pretty nice design. You know, they didn't go with the traditional like Trident 3-prong N64 controller design, but they do have the convex joystick cap here, and it even is in like this octagon, just like the original N64 was. And they moved it to the side where I think it will be more comfortable here, right? And you've got the A, B buttons and your C buttons over here on the right, and even that big circular start button right in the center. I love that they put that there. But this looks like it'll be a pretty nice controller, better than the original, most likely. And I'm excited about that. It will run their operating system, 3D OS. So on there, you will be able to, select your game. It will keep a library of all your games. You can also take screenshots. You can, I think, maybe take video as well, but I don't know how long that will be. It doesn't have a ton of storage. It says it has an SD card slot that supports up to 16 gigabytes, which isn't huge, especially by today's standards. So that's kind of curious to me, but screenshots of this shouldn't, take up too much storage space. But you'll also be able to have save states and stuff like that, so you can save anywhere in any game and return right back to where you were. You can also update the controller through this OS, which is great. You can do it straight from there. You don't have to plug it into a computer. I think that's a really smart move. And then they start talking about gaming preservation, right? And I actually appreciate this. I am really concerned by where we're going. I think games that are coming out today that don't, a lot of them don't have physical media of any kind, once they're delisted, they could potentially be gone forever. And so I think that this is important that we be thinking about, because I see gaming as an art form. It's not just a form of entertainment. It is a form of art. It's got music. It's got, we literally call it, art style. Like the way that the characters are drawn and stuff is an artistic direction to it. And I really don't want that to be lost to history. So stuff like this, I think, is important for the future. And archiving these things, I think, is also important. So I'm just kind of excited to see another company say, hey, we need to preserve this stuff, and come up with a solution to do that. You get some tech specs down here at the bottom. Look at the bottom of the device, which doesn't have that extra weird extension port like the original N64 does. And there's the back. The power comes through USB-C. You have two USB ports, not really sure why, but they're there, your SD card slot, and your HDMI port. So again, this is an HDMI, I believe, 2.1 port that supports 4K. I do still have a TV that I can plug my N64 into and it will work, but that TV is pretty old and aging, and I'm not sure like how much longer it will work. I would love to plug it into my 4K TV and see it upscaled. I think that would be incredible. I do think it's important to note that the controller is sold separately. Now, it's only $40, which isn't terrible for a controller that I'm sure is going to be well made, but it does not come in the box with this, and I think that's pretty disappointing. I think that's the one strike against the price point of this console, is that it doesn't come with a controller. Of course, if you have original N64 controllers, you can plug them into those ports, but I think it would feel a lot better at $250 if it came with one controller at least, with additional ones available to purchase separately. On there it does say about the USB ports that they're for charging and wired controller support, so that's cool. So I guess you can use any modern controller that you have, probably. In fact, it kind of said that up here, didn't it? Under controllers, right here, it says Xbox One controller. So I guess you can plug in other kinds of controllers into that USB-C port on the back, or possibly connect them over Bluetooth. But there it is. Analogue 3D is available now. That's actually not true. If you click on this, it just takes you here to this page of all these products that they have. But I think if I click on this right here, it just says pre-order October 21st, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And actually, that's important information. In the box is the console, an HDMI cable, a USB cable, and a worldwide USB-C power supply. So that's good to know. And going back to this page real quick, let me get some footnotes down here. Analogue 3D does not support OpenFPGA. It does not play copyrighted ROM files. It plays legacy game cartridges via the cartridge slot. So again, that SD card slot port is not for you to load your ROMs onto so you can play the games. That's not how this is going to work. It's not designed using software emulation. It is designed using a specialty hardware chip called an FPGA, which operates on a transistor level. And then it says down here, resolution is 10 times the majority of games at 320. Some games display at 640. And what that means is that most games played at a resolution of 320 on the N64, those will be upscaled by 10 times to 4K. Some games, however, were a higher resolution originally at 640, so I guess that would mean that it would upscale at 5x instead of 10x, again to 4K. But the way that's worded, I think, could be potentially a little confusing for people, but I'm fairly certain that that's what that means. And that is the Analogue 3D. Again, just an absolutely stunning design, even in that light gray. I know that, the black, I guess you would call it, or the dark gray, that is definitely more traditional N64 color there, but that light gray is super clean. So either way you go, this just looks awesome. I'm so excited for this. But what do you think of the Analogue 3D? I would love to hear all your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for liking, sharing, subscribing, all of that different stuff. It really helps out the channel and I appreciate it a lot. Have a great day, stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.